Hi everyone, this is Tom, and this week's LEC preview is going to be a little bit different than the others because this time around I have a guest with me, and it's Laure Valée, the interviewer of the LEC. So first of all, Laure, how are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I mean, we had a week off, which was necessary given how crazy things have been this split. And yeah, I'm very excited about playoffs. So many unexpected teams reached out. I mean, the Schalke miracle run and
Oh man,
everything was
yeah.
crazy for week 8. So yeah, I'm definitely excited.
Did you also need that time off a bit to let everything calm down? Because after those 8 weeks, I was like, okay, I need a bit of a break, and now it gets
Yeah.
but now we're nearly there. I'm very excited.
I mean, you know what? Luckily enough, in a way, I had some time off during the split. Like I was
Hmm.
not on week 5 and week 7, I think. So I had quite a break. But
Yeah.
no LEC for a week and like just some time to think back. Everything was necessary because So
Yeah.
we had to prep for this week, and I mean, we're gonna talk about it hopefully. And yeah, it's teams that we didn't expect.
Yeah, exactly. And that is exactly what we're going to do. We're going to be looking ahead at the 3 matches that are going to be played this weekend,
Yeah.
which is SK Gaming versus Schalke 04 in the lower bracket. And then we have Rogue versus Fnatic and Mad Lions versus G2 in the upper bracket. So yeah, it's going to be a preview of this week. Obviously, we don't know what happened, so we cannot really predict what's going to happen through the long run. We're just going to look at the teams and at the matches and
Yeah.
what we think the strengths of each team are, and how they got here, and everything like that. So let's first quickly go over the teams that have made it. Rogue in first place, was that something you expected to happen towards the end of the split?
I really didn't. I mean, given the way all team have been playing, I expected them to end second actually, or third maybe, with like G2 climbing their way back
Hmm.
during the last few weeks. But
Yeah.
I was actually expecting to see Mad Lions end first. And yeah, I mean, we saw how the match of the week happened and how Rogue didn't steal their way to the top. I
Nope.
mean, that's all that we can assess here. Like they didn't steal their way to the top. It's Mad Lions not showing up, Rogue defying expectations, so they deserve this first spot.
Yeah.
They deserve to be on top for sure. But yeah, it was quite unexpected to see them
Yeah,
grab
same.
this first
Cause
position and get the first seed at Worlds. That's all that matters, right?
yeah,
Not the
exactly.
first seed, but the first qualification.
Yeah, the first qualification, the
Yeah.
same, right? When I watched the Mad Lions versus Rogue game, I was surprised by how dominant they were against the Mad Lions. I had not expected
Yeah,
this because in the weeks before, both teams had struggled a bit, with some losses
I
here
agree.
and there. But yeah, I did not expect this and was very pleasantly surprised and obviously very happy for them.
Yeah. But
That
it's something that we also can attribute to Mad Lions in a way. And I mean, I'm sure we're going to talk about that as well.
Yeah.
But they have not been performing so well during the second half of the split. And I
Hmm.
think it all comes down to them trying some new stuff. Like they had a really good grasp at the meta, I feel,
Yeah.
in the first part of the split.
Yeah.
And they switched to doing some, I mean, to trying different things, to trying different compositions. And we didn't see Carzy being such a central piece from the Mad Lions, which is something that he was
Hmm.
very valuable for during the first half. So yeah, I'm not surprised in another way to
Yeah.
see the Mad Lions falling there, but yeah, I expect them to pick everything up for
Yeah.
playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. And then obviously the two giants of EU, G2 and
Yeah,
Fnatic, coming in third and fourth. Fnatic on the brink, like in the final weekend. I don't know what happened, but I guess they realized, okay, now we kind of have to win, and they started
yeah,
playing better. I think they have been the most disappointing surprise for me. Well, Misfits was also a pretty big disappointment for me, but like over the
yeah,
course of the split, seeing how uh, how much Fnatic was not a team. It's just like
yeah.
these people are not communicating with each other.
I agree. I mean, they made finals in spring, and even though it was like a crushing victory in favor of G2, they still fought them in finals, right? So I was expecting them to at least pick up from there in
Yeah.
summer, and it feels like, yeah, they took multiple steps backwards, and they didn't look like a team at all. And I mean, there's always expectations around the name like Fnatic and the talent that we know these players can have. And you were talking about G2. They were similar in a way
Yeah.
because I mean G2 yeah has had a shit split. We're gonna be honest
Yeah.
about this, but they picked it up at the right moment and in the good way. And I mean, Fnatic to me during the last week is the usual Fnatic managing to bounce back during
Yeah.
the second week of
Exactly.
group stage at Worlds. Like it's randomly channeling something that works. But is
Yeah.
it gonna be enough? Is it
Yeah,
gonna be enough
yeah,
this
yeah,
week?
yeah. It's, I mean, the thing is, right? On one hand, I really want them to bounce back because when Fnatic is playing so well, they're a joy to watch. You know, it's like all these players can perform super
Yeah.
well. We've seen Selfmade in this split as well in the first half playing phenomenally. One of the best junglers in the at least in the first half of the split, he was right on top there. But also people like Whippo and even Nemesis had a few good games this split. You know, most of the split he was. But he had a few games where he was okay.
Yeah, it was a bit meh. I mean, yeah.
And we know that Reckless and Hylissang in the bot lane can be absolutely dominant. So from that perspective, I kind of hope they bounce back. But on the other hand, it would come at the cost of teams probably that have grinded so hard and have stepped up their level. And I kind of, you know, maybe it's time that Fnatic gets a hard check, you know,
reality check.
Reality check, and like, okay, guys, listen, this team needs to be rebuilt from the ground up. There's no other way around it. So in a way, I for the gameplay and because I know what they are capable of, I kind of hope that they bounce back. But on the other hand, maybe there's other teams that deserve more, because a few like Fnatic, if you look at some of the wins they got this split, they should not have been in the playoffs. Like those games against Misfits. Like,
I mean, Misfits. Yeah, come on, twice.
Those are the legendary, right? Like, yeah. So those are games that they shouldn't have won, and with that record, they shouldn't be in the playoffs. But they are here. So it's difficult for me to say what I want. But if I think longer about it, like I kind of hope that other teams get a shot at being at Worlds.
I mean, yeah, you know what? They had their time, and I feel like when a team has been so dominant for so long, these expectations are real. Like you have to deserve it. And if some other team like Rogue, for instance, this year, or Mad Lions, put in enough work to just get there and like own their place, I mean, to me, I would like to see Rogue advance this weekend in a way, because they tried so hard this year and they defied all expectations. I mean, this lineup was promising, but by the end of spring, I thought their ceiling was lower than what they did. So
agreed.
But it also comes down to how well do you perform in best of 5 compared to best of 1, because that's a different story here.
Yeah. So, and then we have the two teams in the lower bracket. First, SK Gaming, the 5th seed of the playoffs. I have to say, like, I think the second half of their split was a bit worse than their first half of the split when it comes to results. Because I think they finished the first half in 5-4, and the second half in 4-5.
Well, they have a... Actually, they have a 44% win rate on the first half, and they have a 55% win rate on the second half. So it's the other way around. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. I thought it was the other way around.
Yeah, but it echoes something that I think about SK. They're a very interesting team. I'm happy to see how they developed, especially seeing Genax go to the bot lane and seeing how better he was. I mean, it's not better performance, but he just it suits him better, right?
Yeah, he fit there, right? It was like he's always been playing in the top lane. He immediately clicked in that role.
Exactly.
And
they have amazing players. I mean, they also have rookies. They have Crownshot, who to me is one of the best ADCs in the scene.
Yeah, you and I both voted him number 1 as the
nice one, by the way.
ADC award. So yeah.
But I don't know. I don't feel the same spark as I felt with some other teams that reached playoffs, for instance. And when I see the momentum Schalke and Ulfir have right now, I have a difficult time seeing SK winning this best of 5 for some reason.
I think for me, looking at SK and how they perform, they are a perfect middle of the pack team.
Yeah.
In how they perform, you know, because they I think they went 0-2 against Fnatic in the split and 2-0 against Excel. But then, you know, they went 1-1 against G2, 1-1 against Mad Lions, 1-1 against Rogue. All the other teams are 1-1 against. So, you know, that's a perfect middle of the pack team. And it's hard to get really excited for something like that. Like for, you know, when you look at Mad Lions, you have the several members that can step up. You have the same in Rogue and in G2. And in Schalke and Ulfir, like, and in SK Gaming, while Genax definitely has been playing well and definitely commendable, it's still all the Crownshot show there, right? And it's like, if he steps up, then they have a chance. So it's hard for me to get excited for that entire team. It's mostly about, okay, what are they gonna do with Crown Shot, and how are the enemies gonna play against him? And from that perspective, it's difficult to argue them making it very far.
Agree. Agree. I mean, when I see the teams we have right now and the way they perform during the last 3 days and what we could expect from them in playoffs, I feel like SK reached their ceiling, which is good. I mean, they had a good year. They were, as you said, a middle of the pack team, but I don't see them arriving really strong in playoffs. I mean, not as strong as Schalke.
Yeah. So let's go into that best of 5 specifically then, because we have SK Gaming versus Schalke 04 as the first best of 5, and obviously Schalke with their miracle run, every single member of the team over the course of the past weeks has just like come online. It's first was Gilius, and then we saw Abedage on. He played Akali, he played Zoe, he played Corki. It was on
Faker Dagger.
Yeah, exactly. It started as a meme, but this guy is playing out of his mind, and Faker's benched now, so maybe we should call him Closer Dagger or something, right? It's like so. And then we saw Odoamne stepping up as well. And in the meantime, I think the bot lane of Schalke 04 hasn't performed that like insanely well, but they were still a stable factor, and they were still there. They didn't lose their lane, they didn't int and cause their team to be on unstable.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was all about this team finding their identity, and which was hard to do. I mean, I have a tremendous respect for everyone at Schalke this year, whether it's the management, the coach, the players, because getting yourself out of such a difficult situation is like huge, really.
Right, yeah.
And I mean, because they did so much adjustments at some point when you try so many things that they don't work, how do you know what to pin down? Like how do you know which direction to take? And they found this direction, and they found the recipe that works. And I feel like they just needed a voice and some leader, and I feel like it's what Gilius gave them, because throughout the year, I feel like Odoamne has stayed consistent, right? I mean, among all the Schalke players, he's the one who was always, if not performing, at least not feeding, right?
Right, exactly.
And I mean, as you said, the bot lane is not that impactful, but that's not what they're asked, right?
No.
They're asked just to be reliant, and I feel like maybe Gilius is the maestro they needed to just find the right tempo and find the right way to play together.
And like purely by accident, right? It was literally Lurks was sick, so Gillies got subbed in, and then they noticed, oh wow, this guy's having a positive impact on our gameplay. Let's keep him and let's build from that. And
which hasn't always been the case historically, so I think it's interesting. Yeah, but it's a nice shift.
It's a very interesting development. And I was actually I spoke to Darius Matushak, obviously senior content creator and former.
A lot of respect.
Yes. Who works at Schalke 04.
Yeah.
And he was telling me it was literally Gilius who came in and said, guys, no, I don't know what you're joking about. We are still gonna make it to playoffs. And he sat down Abedage and said, listen, the mid jungle duo is so important right now. From now on, we are doing nothing else than duo queue mid jungle, you and I. And that's what they did. And that's
amazing.
He kept telling them like, no guys, we're gonna make this, we're gonna make this, we're gonna make this, we're gonna make this. And eventually they came online and everything started to work. Because remember, like even in week 5 they went 0-2. It was like they were 1-10, and then 6, 7, and 8, that's when they won all their matches. It's like
it's insane. But I mean, how long can they ride this momentum, right? Because and that's we know these honeymoon phases, right? Because that's how I like to call them. And I feel like when something this big happens so late in the season, it's either has to stay or you just don't make it out.
Right, so let's then talk about their match against Schalke 04, because it's a best of 5 scenario. We do know that Schalke 04, I suppose, at least in my opinion, has a bit of a larger champion pool maybe than SK Gaming. And that does play a factor. So how do you see Schalke 04 entering this best of 5 compared to SK Gaming then?
I mean, we don't have side selection yet, so let's just not talk about this. I feel like Schalke proved recently that they had more options. And for instance, you were talking about the mid lane. I feel like the jungle mid duo is way stronger for Schalke than for SK. The bot lane may be an issue, but I mean, you can draft something safe enough in this meta to just not having to worry about bot lane. And I mean, when it comes to top, so it's gonna be Genax versus Odoamne. I mean, Odoamne has been reliant and really dominant lately, so I think this one is gonna go in favor of Odo. So overall, for the first game, I see things going in favor of Schalke, but I don't know how the two teams will be able to adapt in this series, because obviously SK has more experience. I think they don't have maybe enough tricks up their sleeves. At least that's how it seems. Maybe they're gonna show up with some like insane pickup tricks, and pickup pocket tricks, and it's gonna be really cool. But yeah. So far, I want to say that it's gonna go in favor of Schalke. Even if they drop one game, even if they drop two, because they can be creative enough, and I think that they can have the mindset to just bounce back. I mean, that's basically what they did whole splits. And if Gilius brought to the team what Darius says he did, I mean, he can be like the fuel the team needs backstage to just keep on going and not give up no matter what. So mentally and like in terms of weapons on the Rift, I'll give it to Schalke.
Yeah, I'm thinking similarly. I think, as I said before, right, I in the top lane, I am pleasantly surprised by Genax, and I think even though Odoamne may be the stronger top laner at the moment, what I think Genax has done well during this entire split, when you look at this top lane, even when SK was losing, I don't think it was ever him that was dying a lot. He was like, I think he kept his lane fairly stable, and managed to do so. And even if he was on a weak side, he was able to, hold off the pressure well, and so I don't think that he will be the one that like breaks. If that happens, I do think it may be more in the in that mid lane, because Zazie, I mean, he came in a rookie, right?
He's so young, right?
Yes, and I do think he has not had the best games, but I will say what goes for him is that he has often had to play a more of a supportive role in the team. Even if he's a mid laner, like, it was generally like, okay, you set up the team fights, and then the bot lane comes in and finishes off the enemy. So I do think that he has not had as many opportunities to really shine. I also doubt he really can do it at the moment, to be honest.
But I mean, he comforted himself in like safe matchups. I'm looking at the champions right now. It's a lot of Azir and Orianna, which is like a safe answer to another prio pick usually. So, and I mean, he's safe, he's reliable, but he's not the clutch mid laner he could be. And I mean, most of things rely on bot lane here for SK, I feel. And you were mentioning Genax, also the amount of like tank champions he played. He's a good weak side player.
Yeah, he is. Which is, I mean, it's definitely a useful skill to have, right? But for example, if they want to switch gears and put more priority on Genax, because, for example, if Schalke 04 shuts down Crown Shot, I think I did vote, as I said, Crown Shot as AD carry of the split, and I think because that's mostly for me because of the impact he had on the team as a whole. But one thing,
and Limits also, we should not sleep on Limits really, because he's been insane.
Yes, I really like his Bard, for example. I think we all know the meme game when he had the Bard with Alfari, I think, with the portals. But still, he is
such
a very good
tilter,
Bard. But when I look at Crown Shot, I think the one downside I have to give him is his champion pool, because I think his Ezreal is outstanding, right? And I think he also he did play Kalista, right? And he did play that fairly well.
Not this split though. No. He played a lot of Aphelios and Ezreal this split.
Right.
And I see a Caitlyn in there, which is gonna be a good thing. But I mean, the difficulty right now to get your hands on Caitlyn, like especially in playoffs, I think we're not even gonna see her. And if we do, it's gonna be.
I mean, it is going to be a new patch, right? So I'm not sure if how strong she still is in this patch. I think she got minimally touched even in the last patch, right? Like movement speed or something. That was,
I actually don't know. Yeah.
So, like, I think that for Schalke 04, if they really want to shut down Crown Shot, they have the champions they can pick to shut him down, right? Like, you ban Ezreal, and maybe you ban even Aphelios, and okay, so what else do you have? So if SK Gaming then wants to pivot and put more carry into Genax, then I think they're going to struggle a bit more, because, as we said, Odoamne is a better top laner at the moment, and also because Gilius and Trick, there's pretty big difference there, in my opinion, in terms of impact, right? And like Gilius coming into the top lane is gonna make more of an impact than Trick coming into the top lane to help out there. So
impact champion pool, I mean, I feel like they have to target the jungle here.
So
some picks at least.
I would also give it to Schalke and Fear. I think I would give it like a 3-1. I think like SK Gaming is gonna maybe pick it, pick up one game. But I don't think it's going to be a clean sweep, but
That's the question, though. Like, I actually don't know about the final score. I think it can be a long series. I mean, again, we only saw these teams for like best of 1, and I know how different things can be when you come to best of 5. And again, even if SK have rookie players, they also have players who almost all play during playoffs. So, I mean, it's but you also have this experience with some Schalke players. I don't know. I just trust Faker Dagger to smash this series. Actually,
you think
Zazie is gonna be in trouble.
Yeah, I think so as well, and especially because I was so surprised. Like you can say, for example, okay, Corki is not a champion that requires a lot of mechanical play, or Orianna or something like that, or Syndra. You know, it's not the most mechanically challenging champions. But then, like on the Akali, he was literally like slashing apart. I forgot who he played against that match. Was it Origin or?
One sec, I could find it. Wasn't it Mad Lions?
Was he on?
No, he was on Corki that game.
Yeah. Because he got
Yeah. So it has to be the first one. Yeah, it has to be against Origin.
I think so. Well, anyway.
That's it. Against Lucian. Mid.
Yeah. Right. So
got it.
That was like that was when I really saw like, okay, this is the scrim Abedaga everybody has been talking about.
I know.
This guy's got scrims, but just never showing on stage. And now a switch was flipped and he's performing. And even mechanical champions he can play well. So yeah, I think Zazie is gonna have a difficult time as well. And then we have let's go to the next day, because the next match is G2 versus Mad Lions on Saturday. Oof. And boy, this is a rivalry brewing in the LEC because these teams obviously met in the Spring Split Playoffs round 1, and Mad Lions upset G2, and then G2 came back and swept them off the board with ease in the lower bracket. And
it's the newborn rivalry, I feel, for this year.
I mean, I just like it so much because you have two teams that like goofing around as well, like players who like to meme, and it's oh man, it gets said so much, like old dynasty versus the new dynasty or something like that. But this is actually such a difficult match for me to evaluate because, as you said earlier, Mad Lions has been having trouble lately, and G2 has climbed upward. But man, these individuals, like for example, in the mid lane, you have Humanoid, who in the past few weeks maybe was not super stellar, but in the first weeks of the LEC Summer Split, he was on par with Larsen in his performance, you know, and he was so insanely good.
Humanoid bothers me so much because I know how gifted and good he can be, but I mean, he's such an inter sometimes. Like, no, but I mean, for real, he dies so much. I think he has one of the most isolated deaths out of any players in the LEC. Like, he can be clutch, but he can also be someone that loses you the momentum for the next play or something. And I mean, it's not bad because I mean the player is great. Like he's an actual good player. He doesn't have a champion pool issues. He knows how to play. He knows how to play around pressure. He knows how to play with an advantage and in difficult situations. But he doesn't know how to be really consistent. And that's what I want to see in Humanoid. So, I mean, and on the other side, you have like Cavs, who maybe had his best split ever given the circumstances at G2. So. I don't know. I mean, if we're gonna start on mid lane, I really want to give this one to Caps because Caps has been consistently good, especially when G2 was not showing up, especially when his teammates were not showing up. And I mean, even with that, they didn't win every time, but he still managed to just carry the whole team. So I don't know. Like you said, with Mad Lions being on decline for the past few weeks, we had G2 being on the rise again. I really think it's gonna be one-sided for G2 here, unfortunately.
Yeah, in the mid lane you mean, or like in general?
In general, actually.
Yeah, that's interesting actually, because I wanted to start in the mid lane because especially Caps has been an absolute monster in this split. You know, like even if G2 was losing the game, he would be at 7-3. And his team combined would have like 2 kills and 19 deaths or something, right? It's like crazy how much he. It's has
like
been...
your solo queue teams. You saw the meme, right? Like the only player carrying and everyone feeding their ass up.
Because I'm a guy who plays support Ken or something like that, you know. So it's like I'm not gonna talk trash about. So yeah. But so like to me it's so strange that Humanoid has fallen off. Like, I don't know what happened, and maybe it's the pressure, you know, of realizing, oh wow, we actually may be getting that world's ticket already. And when I did an interview with Kaiser, he said towards the end of the split, they were not that happy team anymore. You know, they were feeling the stress and feeling the pressure.
Yeah,
it's pretty sad to see them faltering and crumbling a bit under that pressure, because when, you know, everybody loves this team, you know, everybody loves the mid lane. You cannot dislike this team because they're talented rookies and they're also play crazy things. But I'm surprised that you think that it's not going to be a close bit, because one of the things that has that Mad Lions has an advantage on in this match, I think, is that the players will be on a new patch, and this is one of the most innovative teams in the LEC. So maybe they will be able to do some weird stuff with the drafts.
I agree with you. I mean, they've been the most innovative team in the LEC this year, but historically, I mean, we have to give this one to G2 though. Like,
yeah, I mean, historically, yes, but
they brought up so many things. I mean, when I interviewed Grabs and Wonder, they were the ones saying that the way the meta was shaped right now didn't allow them to be as creative as they wanted to. So, I mean, if tomorrow to be honest, I didn't work on the patch yet. That's something that I'm gonna do after the interview. But I mean, imagining that the patch will open the meta even wider and open to new possibilities. I mean, if Mad Lions can grab them, why G2 couldn't?
Well, because I was thinking, because Mad Lions this split immediately did manage to get a hold of the meta, and G2 didn't. Obviously, G2 had some circumstances that they weren't able to practice a whole lot because of Perks' personal issues, and that is something that Mad Lions had an advantage in. They could scrim more and practice more. So that did give G2 some starting trouble. And I do hope that G2 is fully back in shape heading into the playoffs, because you just want all your teams to be playing at their highest level to see who's actually worth it, right? And see them perform well. But it could be a real possibility that, at least to me, that Mad Lions is a step ahead of G2 when it comes to the draft. Now, in terms of individual play, I actually think in the top lane it could be pretty close. Wunder in the past
it's weeks, close, it is.
In the past weeks did pretty well, but Arome has had carried on the jugs, and he carried.
Yeah, but I mean, you know that Wunder is like playing. I mean, he's playing like he's playing, and when he wants to be in like full try hard mode, he's gonna 1v9, like really.
Yeah. So, and that's the thing with G2 in general. I feel that when it matters, all of a sudden these guys play godlike, and we saw that actually. Like, Perks did not have the best splits. I think he got only 2 people voted for him as AD carry of the split, and like a second and a third place, something like that. And rightfully so. I mean, he didn't play well.
Why would you? I mean,
it's completely understandable that he had a worse performance than he would normally have, given the circumstance, obviously. But then you see his game when they played in week 3 against Fnatic, and he just literally shredded Fnatic. And it was... You can see that this guy is still, even despite the circumstances, no matter what, when he thinks, okay, I'm gonna play today, then nobody can touch him. And
they all have it in them.
Yeah, the bot lane is another area I see going in favor of G2, because at least the bot laner itself.
Yeah.
Because I think Karzi, he has not. I don't know. you still see that.
I mean,
he's
he
good,
hasn't
right?
been put on the champion he excels at.
Yeah.
Like it's once again down to Mad Lions trying some new things, which is good. I mean, this is what you're supposed to do, especially entering playoffs, because
Yes.
I mean, yeah, you want to come full strength and like try all the crazy shits you wouldn't otherwise. And if the meta favors them again, I don't see how Karzi wouldn't do good, because I mean Kaiser has been consistent. They work really well together. If they find some good options on bot lane, which they could, it can be a good matchup. It can be a good side of the map for Mad Lions for sure.
Yeah, and yeah, you mentioned Kaiser as well, and because this guy was voted, I think he had more votes.
He's so good.
Oh man, that guy is. Yeah, like I think when you look at Kaiser, and I've said this before, actually in a video I've not published yet because I cannot speak about my other LEC votes yet, but it's like when you watch him, like watching Kaiser play gets you excited for a support, and how often does that happen, right? How often can you say, okay, I am excited for watching somebody play a Thresh? Like,
you know what?
But like I'm watching Kaiser. And
I'm a huge meta fan, so yeah, that's actually what I was gonna say. Like he reminds me of this player. Like he makes support exciting, and like, and I know that the role changed over the years, and it's like way more. It's a central part of the game now, actually. But he makes everything so exciting to watch, and I mean the way he talks about the game also, like they're all interesting characters, but Kaiser especially, like I think he's the best support in the LEC.
Yeah.
Not afraid to say it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, like he won the All Pro support of the split, and I also voted him.
Well deserved. Yeah,
definitely. Because the thing, right? He also has that. It's also his champion pool. Like he can play like something like a Wukong, but it's not just that he has a wide champion pool. Like the level at which he then plays a Wukong. And like people were literally saying this guy plays Wukong in the top lane better than most top laners who play Wukong in the top lane, and it's true. It's like you look at him. I think he used to be a mid laner before, right? Like he used to play in the mid lane, I believe. And you can definitely see that this guy just has these mechanics in play. He knows exactly when to engage, when to disengage. He knows. He knows. He just he's like in the Matrix when it comes to this. You know, it's like
there's always this kind of players like game. I mean, I don't know if it translates well in English. But game geniuses, you know, like the likes of Caps or the people who are like one with the game really, and he could be one of these players for sure.
Yeah, true. One thing I do see like definitely going Mad Lions' way is actually the jungle, because when I looked at the votes, like when I was deciding for my votes for the LEC awards, Jankos has had bad weeks. Like he did not like like some performance. I think he went like 1-9 or something in a few games. Like, what are you doing, buddy? It's like
he's been cheating a lot.
Yeah, and I have no doubt that he still has the potential to play at that high level, but he hasn't shown it. And then you have Shadow, who week in, week out was a consistent factor for Mad Lions. I think that's like the jungle actually is something that definitely could go into
it is
Mad Lions' favor.
It is, but when you take the both players in top form, Yanko still has the best champion pool at the end of the day, and I mean, coordinated around G2. I mean, it also comes down to Mad Lions full strength and G2 full strength again, and we don't know how these teams are going to show up. Like, hopefully the patch plays in Mad Lions' favor, because I have no doubt about G2 being able to pick it up. But will Mad Lions be, I mean, fast enough in learning these new things? Shadow has been good, but he's been amazing on the same champions all the time. So
it's like a Lee Sin. It's he played Kha'Zix, I believe.
It's always the aggressive matchups, the early game matchups. But I mean, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. But I don't know if I would give the jungle matchup to Shadow here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I can see where you're coming from, because when they are in top shape, I'm just trying to. I hope, as I said earlier, right, that both teams do show up in good shape and that we have a close match. Because
I mean, right. I mean, at the end of the day, I see Mad Lions and G2 as teams that we are gonna send at Worlds. I think, and I want these teams to be like the best they can, right? Course, so I want to have the best fights.
No, I definitely agree. So I do hope, first of all, for the Mad Lions that they have been able to climb out of this slump because as said earlier, they felt that pressure and felt that stress a bit more. So like, but it's so difficult for me to predict this one because for the same, like, what if G2 doesn't show up, right? What if, for example, Jankos is still not playing well and Perks is still in that slum, and then Caps has to carry again. But Mad Lions is that, that first half of the split Mad Lions version where they are just not gonna lose, and that so I think overall, obviously, I would say that in Champion Pool, obviously G2 has a big advantage because these players can play anything in their role.
Yeah.
It's like as best displayed last year with the Pike, it's like they played it everywhere. I think that was one of the most memorable examples there. But
Loves it.
yeah, even still. But then you also have Mad Lions who have not as large of a champion pool, but I still think it doesn't overlap completely. And I think maybe they have some picks outside of G2's reach that they maybe could surprise with. But
we have both teams that can show up on Saturday with like picks
that makes it so
completely outside the box and who never and anyone would have thought about. So I hope it's gonna be a surprise, and I think it will, because with these two teams especially, you can expect anything and everything.
I agree. I'm gonna put myself a bit on the spot. I didn't want to do this actually, but I think I'm gonna, because now I already predicted like the Schalke of here.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say like a 3-2 for G2 in the end.
Yeah, 3-2. Okay, 3-2 G2, hoping that Mad Lions show up.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I agree.
Yeah. Now then, the final match of the weekend: Rogue versus Fnatic, and we have basically the second place All Pro team of the split as voted by everybody, and the first place of the LEC regular split, first seed, and also the first team in the world to qualify for Worlds already. Rogue, and then we have Fnatic, and boy has Fnatic had a split as we mentioned earlier, because this is another one where you're like, okay, is Fnatic gonna show up? Because we know that Rogue probably will. Right? Or do you doubt that Rogue is gonna? Do you think that Rogue?
No. I'm very worried for Fnatic, like insanely, because they showed a better face during week 8, and all the things we could have said about Bwipo, he made a slide during week 8, but still, it doesn't erase some stuff we've seen for the past 8 weeks. So. I don't know. Once again, like it's the first talk we had about deserving stuff or not, Rogue working their ass towards getting the first place at Worlds, and Fnatic, like, I don't want to say slacking, because they had some issues they had to deal with, hopefully, and they have not been like ignoring everything the whole split. I think they worked on that, right? So, but I'm still, the way they qualified, and like it was not a Fnatic way to qualify, and I saw some very interesting stuff from G2. I didn't see any convincing stuff from Fnatic yet.
Yeah, like they had, like, they tried out that Jhin Pike combination, and it was like, but this is not, this is not the Fnatic we want to see. This is just you defaulting back to comfort picks and hoping that on pure individual skill you can trump your opponent. But like when you look, it's still not a team. And I think that is the difficult part for Fnatic at the moment, because I don't think they've ever really been a team in the sense that G2 has this team mentality of, okay, we're gonna win, and we're like brothers in this fight. And you see that in Rogue as well, or in Mad Lions. And Fnatic is mostly, when you look at the player against win or defeat, how they behave, it's like, they're like individuals. They each stand up and they walk out of the room. Obviously they are happy when they win and sad when they lose, but it's not, you don't get that vibe of, okay, this is a team that's in sync, ready to take on Worlds, and they're gonna put their differences aside to achieve whatever their big goal. That's not a feeling you get, and that is something that's so incredibly important.
It is
when you want to advance.
When you talk to teams like G2 last year, or Mad Lions this year, or I visited the Rogue office 2 weeks ago, and I could see actually how they work together, and it's really interesting, because you get there and you have like this. They have what looks like a house, but it's actually 2 giant flats, like connected together, and it's you have this family vibe when you go there, right? Like, I mean, the players were like screaming. I didn't stay too long, but I would just said hi and everything. It looks like a family. Like you have people everywhere. It's alive. I don't think that, and you have the same thing for G2. I think, I mean, they also talk together, and Mad Lions also about how they trust each other. When I had the interview with Reckless last week, and he mentioned the fact that they lost confidence and that they actually didn't trust each other. I think, I mean, it's just sad. It's just sad to have a team with this caliber and this. I mean, you know how good these players can be, right? And the fact that they don't click, it's beyond me, really.
Right. Yeah, and like actually, if we look at even individual performances, I would say that Bwipo, he has a lot of inted games. Like towards the end of the split, maybe he stepped up a bit more. But I wouldn't say like for example, I didn't vote for Finn in my top 3 for top 8 of the split.
I didn't either.
But I would still put his performance this split above that of Bwipo, simply because Bwipo had like so many games where you're like horrible. And then we look at the jungle. Inspired has had that consistency all split long. Selfmade had incredible first 4 weeks, and then the last split, like the last few weeks, fell off as well.
Yeah.
And you look at the mid lane, like obviously with Larsen, what my number 1 for mid laner of the split, and you have Nemesis, who was just straight up horrible, except for maybe like 2 or 3 games where he did a few things. You have the bot lane, and you have Hansama and Vander, who are in a duo form, maybe the best bot lane in the LEC at the moment. And you have Reckless and Hylissang, who have never seemed more out of sync than this split. So how is this gonna work? How?
I don't know. I mean, Healy and Bwipo, like I don't know at all what's happening with Fnatic, but I wish I knew, because I mean, they feel so disconnected with the rest of the team sometimes. Like I don't even see how it can be possible. I wish that I could understand, and I wish they could also, because then they would be able to fix it. But I mean, how can you go from, because I mean, as you said, Selfmade has been stable, so people were like, oh, but Broxa, so it doesn't have shit to do with Broxa or anything. I actually think that Selfmade is an upgrade, really.
Yeah, Selfmade was the best player on Fnatic in the first weeks.
So what happened? Like, it's
yeah, but I mean, I did an interview with Bwipo. I think it was on like towards the end of I think it was the Saturday of the final weekend. And we had a very open talk, and he just mentioned, I mean, the atmosphere in the team, like we didn't trust each other anymore. Nothing worked.
It is
like when we won, we weren't even happy. When we lost, it obviously was horrible. And so I asked him literally, like, is Fnatic a team at the moment? And he said yes and no. And he said, like, if you mean that we're a team where we can easily overcome our difficulties and win and stuff like that, he said no, then we're not a team. But he says, like, in the end, we're still 5 players who know that we're here on the squad, like, for one purpose, to win. But he also said, like, when you're on a team where winning is the only thing that matters, then winning becomes the only thing that matters at all costs. And like that heavily implied, and like given the tone he had in that interview, also, like, we know that not everybody on this team gets along, but when we win, if winning is the only one that matters, that's what we're going for. And he said that if you then end up not winning, then you have to reevaluate, do I want to be on a team like this where where
when winning is all that matters,
sunshine, and when tensions can arise. So, but I mean,
it opens a new conversation about how, I mean, what is the perfect scenario for a team? Like, are you supposed to get along with your colleagues, because they're supposed to be your colleagues at the end of the day? It's an interesting topic, really. I mean, they opted for the second option, like just being colleagues. But
but it plays such a pivotal part in evaluating them as a team at the moment. In the past, I think Brox also said he left Fnatic because of some friction on the team and stuff like that. Like, sure, there's no issue that
they had some shit for a while now. Like, it's always something new. You know how we always criticize TSM in NA about, like, hey, okay, they have jungler issues or like stuff like that. Same shit with Fnatic. Like, it's been years now.
Yeah, it's been years now, and I guess maybe Yeah, I have such a hard time seeing them win against Rogue, though. Like, I know
Yeah,
best
me
of
too.
fives are a different beast, and I know that more comes into play than just, one good performance. You have to have stamina, and Rogue did win against Misfits in the spring split
Yeah,
playoff, so
but
they won 3-0, I believe, so like pretty dominantly.
on the other side, though, there's been, sorry, I'm cutting you.
Yeah, sure, go
You
ahead.
wanna?
Yeah,
Okay.
go ahead.
On the other side, I mean, there's been this meme discussion about the fact that Rogue, even if they're winning and they're dominant, they're consistently winning through the same pattern. And like sometimes they will have a level 1, sometimes they will win again a game with a backdoor. But outside of these things, they just play the game. I don't want to compare them to Origin because it's not, same recipe every time. And I don't think it's something that can work in best of 5. And even if Fnatic is performing poorly right now, they all have the experience to first know how to adapt and play for a best of 5, and I mean second bounce back from defeats. And I'm afraid that if Rogue only show up on Sunday with one game plan, and if they all stick to the same drafts and dynamic for the whole series, maybe they're gonna lose, because once your opponent figures you out, then you have to have other tricks up your sleeves, because otherwise you just lose. So I don't know. I will also trust the experience on this side.
Yeah,
and
I think
Fnatic have more.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I do wonder if, as you said, right? Because now I know heading into the regular split, like Rogue found their strategy, right? They knew exactly how to approach, and it worked for them, and they played that strategy so incredibly well. But as you said, right, if they are in these playoffs and Fnatic figure it out, and like, okay, listen, we know exactly what you're doing, and put Larsen on the same 3 champions like Azir, Oriana and Syndra, or like even Corki as a 4th, whatever. If they keep doing that and like funneling through there, then maybe Fnatic is gonna figure them out and has the ability to throw curve. But like, for example, because they do, right? Fnatic still has more of the ability to throw curveballs than Rogue does. You see like Whippo like plays the craziest champions in the top lane. He plays he'll play a Rengar when nobody, like obviously one of his favorite champions as well, but he'll play Rengar, he'll play Zek, he'll play Urgot, where nobody else will play him, right? And that is something that Rogue may have difficulty adapting to. Now, I do have to give it to Rogue. Like, for example, when they played against G2, the match they infamously lost in the end, with the lane swap, those are some strategies
that was really cool.
Hope.
Yeah,
I agree. Give me hope, and like, okay, so there is innovation in this team. There is progress when it comes to exploring more options. But I'm just not sure if it comes to champion pool and overall strategies as well.
I agree with you. We saw a glimpse of it, but I feel like if now Rogue want to reach the next step and be the dominant team that they want to be and that they want us to see, they need to show us something more. And the best of 5 will be like a big test for them.
Yeah, and it's so difficult for me to evaluate how well they, to predict how well, because we know how Fnatic and G2 can perform. Yeah, and we know Matthiesen. We have seen them in more best of 5 as well. We've seen Rogue in 2, one they won and one they lost. So that's so difficult to evaluate, and I'm glad that this team is going to Worlds, because
me too.
They obviously deserve to be there. When you look at how they played this split, it's clear that they're the best team for me. Like this like, if you take the 8 weeks, they are the best team. But like in a best of scenario, which you also have to fight through if you get to the higher stages of Worlds eventually. That's so difficult to evaluate. Like, so what, like, in your experience, like as a League of Legends like interviewer and fan and host and commentator, what do you see that most teams' struggle is with the best of 5? Is it something like stamina? Is it something like adjusting to things?
Adjusting to things, mostly. Not being trapped into the same strategy. If your opponents, cuts you off guard, like if you try something and it doesn't work out, don't be stubborn into trying it over and over again. I mean, we saw Griffin, right? Like in Korea, for me, they're the pinnacle of like trying too hard sometimes, and it's a shame because this team was really good and they were very dominant, but they never found the way to transform their dominance, the dominance they had in best of one into best of fives. And it's sad because we know they could do it, and we also know that Rogue can do it. So it's about being like creative enough, innovative enough, and also stamina, because fuck, 5 games, it's super long. It's super long. I can't even imagine for them, but yeah.
So if you have
consistency has to be a key also.
It is, yeah. Like I do not doubt that these players can, like that Rogue can be consistent. Like I think, for example, Larsen and Inspired. I think especially these two players are just beasts who can play for hours on end. When you just look at even in the long games, they would just still be comfortable. They would still do their thing and still be fine. Whereas maybe I think especially Finn had a bit more trouble later in the later stage of the game when the game was really long on. Executing that game plan consistently, but
comes with training also, and it's also why I think Fnatic have an advantage here, because
so I know Rogue has been training a lot for this, right? And I know, for example, that they take this so incredibly seriously,
and I want to say that playing online, I mean,
favors them.
It plays for them. It favors them for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because you have players like Bwipo. I have no doubt that he thrives when he's in front of a crowd. You know, when he hears these chants, and then you have somebody, you know, like Rogue. These players have mostly not played in front of a large crowd. They would play in the LEC studio now, so they've all played there before. But still, it's like so much pressure that comes with it.
And when I talk to players, it's not really about the audience and like the vibe you have in stadium. It's just about putting yourself into the right mindset, but by just getting out of the office, because they're so used to training there and like spending all their time there that having an on-stage game in the same space, it's so hard to like put yourself into the right mindset. So I feel like for Rogue players, and also maybe for Mad Lions, because I mean there's been this discussion really around these two teams. Maybe it helped them. Maybe playoffs on stage would be different. We never know actually. So
I mean it's not a real shame if it helps you. I think one of the things that
it's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, and it also can be. You can argue maybe that it's a test of skill to see how you adapt to different play environments. You could say that, and so
I mean it's our new reality now, right? Like we don't know how long this COVID shit is gonna last. So for all we know, we're gonna just stay like this, and we're never gonna play online. I'm gonna touch wood now because I hope it's never gonna happen. Okay, stop the nightmares. But imagine.
So if you have to pin down, like, do you give overall the edge to Rogue or Fnatic?
Yeah, Rogue, given what I saw from them, and Fnatic, given what I didn't see from them for the past 7 weeks, maybe. I mean, I hope. I know Rogue, like, okay, but in another way, Rogue already qualified for Worlds, right? Like you have two different storylines here, because you have either one team playing for seeding and the other team playing for their life. So it's really not the same thing.
No.
And in this situation where the stakes is higher for Fnatic,
you never know what
we don't know.
Pressure,
we never know.
Yeah, especially
on paper, I'll give it to Rogue, but let's say it's a 3-2. That could also turn in Fnatic favor if they show up. But for now, it's Rogue.
So then, I agree with that. So is there one point you would say, okay, that's where Fnatic, like, if they want to break Rogue, they have to push, like, on that point? Like, to me, it would be like, okay, shut down that mid lane and see how Rogue adapts. That would be for me, like, okay, just, self-made, like, haunt Larsen in the mid lane, make sure he doesn't get CS, take away his resources, and see how Rogue can still try to push the game into their advantage. Is there something similar you see, or?
I want to say jungle mid, or either playing from bot lane to mid lane, like using strong bot lane and using Healy to also apply pressure on mid lane and like help this transition from bot to mid. So playing from mid to bot side of the map, that's for sure. I think Bwipo will be able to handle Finn on his own. That's no problem.
Yeah, I think so as well. But. And then we've said it right, but it just may very well be that Bwipo just ends, and like it's because he
that also
a few weeks in a row. He was literally like he died, teleported back into the top lane, tried to go for the engage, and I have no doubt that he had a good reason to try and go for that engage again, but then he loses again, and it's like he dies twice
And then the game is lost.
and then the game is lost. Okay, well, I guess the top lane doesn't exist for Fnatic anymore, so yeah. Overall, like, obviously, a super exciting weekend ahead of us. Is there one match you're looking forward to mostly, or is it just
G2 Mad?
Yeah.
G2 Mad. That's where I want to see shit happen. Like it's I want to. Okay, if there's going to be an explosive series, it has to be this one.
Yeah, I agree, right? And I mean, even though the stakes are higher directly for Schalke 04 and SK Gaming to literally stay in the running, as we discussed, like, and briefly recapturing that, it's like, yeah, the skill difference and like the explosiveness is a bit lower there when it comes to individual players and in how the teams play. And you look at Rogue and Fnatic, it's like, yeah, but these teams haven't been very explosive either. And they have Mad Lions and G2, the two of the most aggressive teams in the LEC when you look at their average game time and stuff like that, and their champion pool. Also, the slowly building rivalry there and how they've met in the past. And because when Mad Lions played G2 in the opening week, it was, you know, okay, Mad Lions got beaten by G2, but then they met him in week 5, and Mad Lions absolutely demolished G2.
It was a different story, yeah.
It was completely different story, exactly. So that's definitely the match I'm looking forward to most, like, given the rivalry and given
same.
It's gonna be but the interesting thing is, if Rogue beats Fnatic, Mad and G2 are also qualified for Worlds because of how the double elimination bracket works.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
That is true.
And maybe that's actually why they scheduled it the other way around with Rogue, and I'm not sure if because then Mad Lions and G2 still have the feeling that they have to play for everything, or
I would love to give you the info, but I actually have no clue.
Yeah,
so it has to be something like this for sure. Yeah.
Maybe. All right, Laure. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
It's
a pleasure.
I'm looking forward to seeing you, and you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this special episode of the LEC preview of this week. If you did like it, don't forget to like and subscribe, and also stay tuned for more content.